After over a year, the Stay-at-Home Nurse Podcast is back. In this first episode of our new season, I want to share with you why I put the podcast on hold, what I have been doing since pausing the podcast, lessons learned, and what you can expect from the podcast in the future. Welcome to the Stay-at-Home Nurse Podcast. I'm your host, Deanna Cooper Gillingham. For over 25 years, I've strived to use my nurse credentials to find work that fit my lifestyle. Whether it was raising my 4 children and 3 fur babies, traveling the world, or moving to Mexico and living on the Caribbean Sea. Sometimes I succeeded, and sometimes I failed, but I always learned from the experience. Now, I want to help you by sharing what worked and what didn't work. There are so many opportunities out there for nurses today. The Stay-at-Home Nurse Podcast will inspire and equip you to have a nursing career that is meaningful and supports your lifestyle. Now let's get started. Hello, my friends. It is so good to be back. I want to start by answering the question you're probably asking. Why have there been no new episodes? Okay, the last episode was published on June 4th of 2021. At that time, I needed to focus all of my attention on finishing, publishing, and launching my newest book, Foundations of Case Management, a practical guide for RNs transitioning to case management. This had been a work in progress for several years, and I finally realized that if I wanted to complete it, I needed to make it the one and only thing that I was focusing on. So, I stopped everything else, and I devoted a few hours every day, 6 days a week to that project. That was published in November of 2021, and it has done well, hitting Amazon's #1 new release in several categories. So, since then, what have I been up to? Once the book was written, I was burned out and confused about the direction I wanted to go. The business was doing fine, but I felt pulled in numerous directions. I guess that's the curse of success. I had numerous goals. I wanted to help others find the success and freedom I had. I wanted to help them write a book, start a business, create the lifestyle of their dreams, and live the life of their dreams. I also wanted to spend less time working and more time focusing on my own health, working out, traveling, and spending time with family and friends. So I started dabbling in many different areas, including coaching and book publishing, traveling and hosting family and friends, and prioritizing my health and fitness. So, what did this look like? We're going to take each of those topics and just look at them a little bit closer. The coaching and the masterminds. I collaborated with Janine Kelbach and Abby Carmen, and together we held the Unconventional Professionals webinars, masterminds, and coaching. I absolutely love this. It was so much fun getting to inspire and meet other nurses and hear about the things that they had going on and what they wanted to do and create. And every single one of them just really spoke to my heart. And I loved talking to all of them and helping them to create this business or a lifestyle that would support them. What did I learn from this? I learned that I love helping people overcome obstacles and barriers. I love seeing people make progress towards their dreams and their life goals. And although this came very easy to me and I enjoyed it, I didn't like having things scheduled on my calendar. And I also learned that I could do one-off consulting and or an online course to help people to reach these goals and still have the lifestyle that I wanted. So what can you learn from this? Well, first, it's okay to try different things. It's okay to pivot, and it's okay to take time to evaluate what you enjoy and why you enjoy it, and what you don't enjoy about an experience. And then think about how can you make changes so that it is more enjoyable for you. It doesn't have to be all or nothing. Sometimes we can take an experience that we don't enjoy and make a pivot so that we do enjoy it. For example, if you're working in the hospital and you love it, but you don't love maybe some aspect of it, can you change departments, or can you change maybe from full-time to PRN so that you have more control over your time? And finally, the important thing is to do something so that you can gather the data you need, review the data, and pivot as needed. By only thinking or learning, you're not implementing, and you'll never move forward. We can think things to death, but until we actually start making progress and start doing, we will never have the true data we need. One of the other things I dabbled in was book publishing. I published 2 books by other authors, including Dr. Colleen Morley's first book, A Practical Guide to Acute Care Case Management. This also became an Amazon #1 bestseller in many categories. I also spoke with many other potential authors. So what did I learn from this? I learned that I have created the systems and processes to successfully publish books in our genre. If I wanted to make this a full-time business, I could, but I would not enjoy it. I learned that I have a formula for success that can be used by others. I learned that there's a reason many people want to write a book, but very few people do. It takes a long time, and it's a lot of work. And I learned that I want to help others publish their books, but it's not something that I want to actively pursue as a full-time business model. It's more like something that I just want to do when I meet the right authors and help them to publish their books. So what can you learn from this? You can learn that it doesn't have to be all or nothing. Sometimes doing something on the side with the right people is better than doing something full-time with the wrong people. It also means that you can have a side hustle. It doesn't have to be a full-fledged business. It can be something you just do on the side. You can also learn that just because you're good at something doesn't mean you have to do it. And finally, sometimes you need to dip your toe in and test the waters before you dive in. The next area I explored was my health and wellness. I started working out a minimum of 6 days a week. I made a goal to hike Sedona and the Grand Canyon for several weeks. And to reach this goal, I began learning about biohacking and what my individual body needed. And finally, I hired a fitness coach. So what did I learn from this experience? I learned that things that worked for me before didn't necessarily work for me now. My body has changed. I needed to learn about my new body and adapt my meals and workouts to what would work for me. And I did that through biohacking. I also learned that it wasn't too late. At one point I thought I was just too old and it was only downhill from there. But I now know that I can, if I do the right things that my body needs, get better every day. I also learned I don't have to be perfect to get results. I learned that I did not get this way overnight and I wasn't going to get fit overnight. Patience was key. I also learned to adopt one new thing at a time, get comfortable with that, and then add something new. The cumulative effects were amazing. And finally, adding a coach got me to my goal much faster and far beyond where I ever thought I would be on my own. So what can you learn from this? It's okay to put yourself first. In fact, by doing this, you're better able to help others. This was something I had to learn. I kept wanting to put myself last and my health last. But now I see the results of me being healthy and how that's affecting the people around me. It also means mulligans are okay. Build them into your life. It's okay to mess up and have to have a do-over. It's just part of life. The important thing is to keep moving forward. Also, listen to your body. What does your body need? It probably doesn't need the same things it needed 20 years ago. And finally, the right coach will save you time and give you better results than you will receive on your own. If you're serious, hire someone who will get you where you want to be. And travel. This was a lot of fun for me. And this is one of the areas that I had on my goal list for years. And I kept making small incremental progress. But this year, I blew it out of the water. I'm going to kind of just go through and explain what I did for like the last year. And there's a reason for this. So kind of just stick with me. I want you to see all the time I spent traveling and hosting family and friends. And then how I also was able to dabble in all these other areas and then realize what was most important to me and move forward. So, traveling. First of all, October of last year, I organized a trip for my family to Arizona where I fell in love with Sedona. I decided to add a hike to the Grand Canyon to my bucket list, like a hike down to the canyon and then back up. And I also made many, many memories to last a lifetime. I did this with my mom, her best friend from high school that she's been friends with since like she was 3 years old, and some family members, and it was an awesome experience. Then for Thanksgiving, I went on a Thanksgiving cruise to the ABC Islands. At Christmas, I spent 10 days with my family, and I got to sit on the 50-yard line at the Steelers home game. And by the way, we won. Great experience. I flew back to Pittsburgh in March to meet the 2 newest members of our family. In June, I attended the National CMSA Conference in Florida, where I presented the results of our Case Management Salary and Trends Survey results on the big stage with my mentor, Anne Llewellyn. This was a bucket list item for me. I went back to Pittsburgh to celebrate my nephew's graduation, and we visited the babies again. In June, I went to Holbox Island, where my oldest son and I swam with the whale sharks, another bucket list item. Went back to Pittsburgh again for Abby's family vacation in Deep Creek, and I visited with my family in August. In September, I went to Illinois to present at my friend's retreat and attend her book launch. Then on to Dallas to attend my sister's graduation, and then on to San Diego for another conference. That's a lot of traveling in 1 year. And amongst that, we also hosted family and friends here at our home in Mexico. Every January, my mother comes for a few months, and we always have family bring her down and take her back because she doesn't like to fly alone. This year, my sister got to do that, and I got to spend a couple weeks with her on both ends, which was awesome. Then, in March, my good friend Janine Kelbach, you might have remember I mentioned her at the beginning of the podcast, and she is my unconventional professionals partner. Her and her family visited, and we did like a working/fun little retreat. Then in April, we had a huge part of the Carmen clan come down for a wedding. His niece rented the 2 Mayan mansions that are next door to us, and they held their wedding there. And a lot of the family, including Abby's sister and one of his sons, and a lot of the nieces and nephews decided to stay in our town over Pesach. And so we got to spend a couple more weeks with them, which was really, really amazing. And then his other son and granddaughters came to Playa for a visit. So that was a lot in April. We had a lot of fun. Now, you'll probably find it very interesting to know that with all of this time off for traveling and hosting our families and friends, our year-to-date sales are higher than ever. So how did we do this? Well, I hired a coach. As I mentioned in the beginning, I was having a little bit of a crisis after publishing the book, and just during that time about where did I want to go, what did I want to do. I really wanted to travel and focus on my health and fitness and my wellness, but I also wanted to get a lot of work accomplished. I need to create things. I need to be a productive member of society. So this was a little bit of a crisis for me. On one hand, wanting to spend time with family and friends, work on my health and wellness, and do all of that. But then on the other hand, wanting to create new things and teach everything that I've learned and help others to have this great lifestyle that I've had. So when I hired a coach, I specifically hired a mindset coach because I knew I was having mindset issues. I believed I could not create the business and also have the lifestyle I wanted. I thought to have a successful business, I had to work hard because that's what I had been hearing my entire life. That was just ingrained in who I was. You work hard, you play hard. You work hard and you'll be successful. You have to work hard to be successful. That's just what I had always learned. And my mindset coach was able to really help me with this and see that I could have the best of both worlds. I could create and I could help others and I could provide value. And I could also have the life that I wanted. I could have it all, but I had to really figure out what it was that I wanted. I think that was the first thing that he helped me with, was to realize what I really did want and what I didn't want. And how could I make the things happen that would give me both? So we ended up hiring a coach named Cliff Ravenscraft. And in the year that we've been coaching with him, I have been able to accomplish all of these things, get my book published. I was able to do all the traveling. I was able to host my family. I was able to get healthier, and I've lost 30 pounds. But more importantly, I am physically able to do things that I was not able to do before. I have time to kayak every morning and spend time on the beautiful bay where I've seen eagle rays and stingrays and starfish and sea turtles. And I was able to improve my strength and my balance so that in this October, I can hike to the bottom of the Grand Canyon and back up, hike in Sedona, things that 2 years ago I never thought were possible. So I just wanted to kind of throw that out there, that if there's something that you think maybe you can't have this and that, maybe that's a mindset issue. Maybe that's something that you have to start asking yourself, like I had to start asking myself, how can I do it? How can I have it all? What if it was easy? What would it look like if it was easy? Now, yes, I did give up the podcast for a little over a year because that was one of the things that just didn't make the cut. I had other things that I had to prioritize, and it's okay. It's really okay. I'm back now. And I was able to take that time off. And, for nurses, we always say, nobody died, at least in case management, that's what we say. And nobody's going to die because you don't make that phone call. A little bit different than bedside nursing, where somebody might die if you don't make that phone call. I had to kind of just release that it's okay to put certain things on pause and focus on other things for a short period of time and figure out what is the most important. So, a couple more things I want to go over really quick as far as lessons learned. I learned that success is not relative to how hard you work. Even when my business was successful, I kept adding work because my mindset was that I didn't deserve the success unless I was working hard. I now ask myself, what would it look like if it was easy? Another lesson learned is I can help others have the freedom I have without giving up my freedom. While I enjoyed the webinars, masterminds, and coaching, I did not enjoy the freedom it took from me. I don't like having anything scheduled as far as appointments as much as possible. So weekly or monthly sessions meant that I couldn't be spontaneous and wake up when I wanted and work out when I wanted and work on whenever I wanted, whenever I wanted, and travel whenever I wanted, and take advantage of opportunities that came up as they came up. I learned that I can help others to pivot or create a lifestyle business through consulting versus coaching and masterminds. This allows me to help others to have the life they want without me giving up the life I want. And I also learned that not everyone wants or should have a lifestyle business. There is a lot of work involved. There's no simple formula. It's not a business in a box. Many people want the security of a paycheck, and that's okay. And that leads me to what to expect next from the Stay at Home Nurse podcast. You will continue to be inspired and equipped to have your best life, whether it's finding and landing your dream job or creating your own side hustle or business. Episodes will come out as I'm inspired or led to create them, and I welcome your suggestions on topics. I'm excited for the next couple episodes, and I hope that you will continue to listen. We have a lot of exciting episodes planned for you. Until next time, adios from beautiful Puerto Aventuras, Mexico.